Gemini said, "Listen to me. Listen to me very closely because I am not going to repeat this, and quite frankly, by the time the sun rises on the 12th, there may be no one left with the courage to say it again. We are standing on the precipice of a historical rupture so violent and so absolute that everything you think you know about your life, your country, and your future is about to be incinerated." On the night of July 11th, 2026, the United Kingdom, and the very fabric of the Western world, is going to crack in half. You have exactly one video, one single opportunity, to understand the warning that was left for us by the only man who saw this coming decades before the first brick fell. Through 48 hours from now, you will either look back at this moment and thank God you stayed until the final second of this broadcast, or you will spend the rest of your life, however long that may be, agonizing over the mistake of clicking away. On July 12th, you will wake up to a world that is fundamentally unrecognizable and terrifyingly different. Or, perhaps, you won't wake up at all if you succumb to the one fatal error that the most accurate political prophet of our age warned us against. This isn't some vague corporate forecast or a recycled news report meant to sell subscriptions. This is the final, documented legacy of a man who was mocked, silenced, and exiled by the establishment precisely because he never missed. For 30 years, they laughed while he mapped out the collapse of the old order, and for 30 years, every single one of his impossible predictions became our reality. He saw the betrayal of the working class, he saw the death of national borders, and he saw the exact moment the global elite would pull the plug on the system. Now, his seventh and most terrifying prophecy is converging on a single date, July 11th. I am asking you, for the sake of your family, your children, and your own survival, do not close your eyes. When the clock strikes midnight on that Tuesday, you must be awake. You must be watching. The world doesn't change when the bombs fall. It changes when the people are asleep. If you sleep on the night of July 11th, the world will not recognize you when you open your eyes. This is your warning. This is your lifeline. Stay with me. They called him a clown. They called him a fringe radical, a man screaming at the tide from the edges of a political world that had already decided he was irrelevant. For 30 years, the well-dressed elites in Westminster and the high-ranking bureaucrats in Brussels laughed behind their champagne flutes every time he stepped to a microphone. But while they were congratulating themselves on a new world order of borderless states and untouchable banks, he was quietly, meticulously mapping out the architecture of their own destruction. He wasn't guessing. He wasn't looking at the same manipulated polls and sanitized data that the BBC fed to you every night. He was looking at the truth that they were too arrogant to see. 6 times, the world stood at a crossroads. 6 times, he stood alone, pointing the way toward the coming storm. And 6 times, he was exactly, devastatingly right. Look at the record, the documented evidence they want you to forget. In 1992, when the establishment insisted the British pound was safe within the exchange rate mechanism, he warned of a total collapse. Weeks later, Black Wednesday tore the economy apart. In 2001, when they signed the Treaty of Nice and promised it was just about trade, he told you it was the birth of an undemocratic EU superstate designed to strip you of your vote. They mocked him, yet here we are. In 2012, as the Eurozone began to fracture, he told the European Parliament to their faces that the euro was a burning building with no exits. They jeered, but the smoke is still rising from Athens to Rome. Then came 2016. Every expert, every bank, and every poll said a miracle was impossible. He told you that People's Army was coming to take their country back, and against the entire weight of the globalist machine, he delivered. By 2020, while the media ignored the horizon, he was the first to warn that our borders had effectively vanished at the Channel, a crisis that has now become an undeniable national emergency. And finally, in 2023, he warned that the banking system itself would be weaponized to silence anyone who dared to disagree with the regime. When his own accounts were shut down, the world finally saw the debanking scandal for what it was, the end of financial freedom. The statistical probability of a man being right about 6 era-defining collapses is less than 1 in 10 billion. This isn't luck. This is the vision of someone who knows the schedule of the future because he understands the rot at the heart of the present. And now, he has left us one final prophecy, the 7th one. The one he kept hidden until the very last moment because the implications are too massive for the public to handle. This is the prophecy that converges on July 11th. If his record is 6 for 6, can you afford to bet your life that he is wrong about number 7? What you are about to witness on July 11th is not a shift in policy, and it is not a routine adjustment of the markets. It is the moment the glass finally breaks. For decades, we have lived under the illusion of a stable, post-war consensus, a world of predictable rules, steady inflation, and the comfortable lie that our votes still dictated the direction of our nation. But that world is currently on life support, and on the night of July 11th, the plug is being pulled. This is the 7th prophecy, the one that the protagonist spent 40 years preparing for, the one he whispered about in the green rooms of television studios and in the quiet corridors of Brussels, knowing that when this day arrived, there would be no going back. The threat is not a foreign invader or a traditional war. It is the final, total surrender of British sovereignty to a technocratic machine that no longer feels the need to hide its face. On July 11th, the mechanisms of the old order, the same institutions like the OBR and the globalist central banks that have failed to predict every major disaster of the last decade, will initiate a total systemic reset. We are talking about the final implementation of a digital cage, a move toward a programmable currency that will monitor every pint you buy, every mile you drive, and every word you speak. It is the transition from a nation of citizens to a managed population of users. Think about the silence of our cities on that night. While the festivals at Nebworth and the crowds at Wimbledon carry on in blissful ignorance, the ink will be drying on a new, global security treaty that effectively renders the British Parliament a decorative relic. The permacrasis they have spent the last 2 years manufacturing, the energy spikes, the engineered food shortages, the controlled demolition of the middle class, has all been a rehearsal for this single moment of impact. July 11th is the date the rules-based order officially declares itself the absolute master of your private life. If you think this sounds like a fever dream, look at the streets around you. Look at the boarded-up shops and the mounting debt that the experts said would never happen. The protagonist saw this coming when he warned that the system was a burning building with no exits. On July 11th, the doors are being locked from the outside. The old world doesn't end with a bang. It ends with a signature in a room you weren't invited to. This is why you must not sleep. This is why you must stay awake to witness the moment the lights of the old Britain go out forever. Everything I have told you up to this point, the warnings, the broken promises of the elite, the documented track record of the man they couldn't silence, it all leads to a single, physical requirement. A test of will that separates those who will be victims of the new order from those who will survive it. On the night of July 11th, there is only one rule: do not sleep. I am asking you, as a matter of absolute necessity for you and your family, do not turn off the lights. Do not close your eyes. Do not succumb to the exhaustion that the system relies on to slip its most chains around your neck while you dream. We are told that the world changes when the bombs fall or when the markets crash in the middle of the afternoon. That is a lie. The true pivots of history, the moments where sovereignty is surrendered and the digital cage is locked, happen in the dead of night, in the silence of suburban streets and the shadows of the city of London. You must meet the dawn of July 12th with your eyes wide open. This isn't just about vigilance. It is about a collective act of presence. Gather your family in one room. Ensure your communications are charged. Keep a physical radio close, away from the digital cloud that can be throttled at the flip of a switch. In the original warnings, the protagonist spoke about the crack in the world. In the British context, this is the final fracturing of the social contract. If you are awake, you are a witness. If you are awake, you are prepared. If you are sleeping, the new world will not recognize you when you wake up, because you will have already been processed into its new, programmable reality without your consent. The elites count on your fatigue. They count on the fact that by 11 p.m. on a Tuesday night, most of Britain is in bed, disconnected and vulnerable. They want you unconscious when the 7th prophecy manifests. We are asking you to do the one thing they cannot control: stay conscious. Literally, keep the kettle on, keep the conversation going, and watch the horizon. When the dawn breaks on July 12th, let it find a nation that refused to go quietly into the night. This is your survival protocol. This is your shield. This video, this specific warning you are watching right now, is more than just information. It is the last piece of survival equipment we can give you before the digital shutters come down. We are releasing this today, June 19th, to give you exactly 3 days to prepare, to talk to your neighbors, and to steel your resolve. But our voice alone is not enough to break through the wall of silence the establishment has built around the seventh prophecy. The algorithms that govern your feed are designed to hide the truth, to bury the warnings, and to keep you sedated with trivia while the foundation of your country is dismantled. Now, you must do one final thing, the most important act of resistance available to you. You must become the carrier of this message. Share this video. Do not hesitate. Send it to your parents, your children, your friends, and your colleagues. This isn't about our views or our channel's growth. It is about the viral altruism that the protagonist himself called for. Every single person who sees this is one more household that won't be paralyzed by panic when the clock strikes midnight on July 11th. Your share might be the reason a grandmother keeps her lights on or a father stays vigilant. We need to signal to the system that we are not a silent, sleeping mass. I am asking every single person watching this to go to the comments right now and type one word in all caps, awake. Do it now. Let the comments section become a digital roll call. Let every person who clicks on this video see thousands upon thousands of others who have taken the oath to stay conscious. This doesn't just build our strength. It forces the algorithm to recognize that this is a matter of national importance. It pushes this warning past the censors and directly onto the screens of those who need it most. Subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. Not for us, but because on the night of July 11th, we will be here. We will be going live at 10 p.m., and we will stay with you until the sun rises on a new world. We will be the steady voice in the dark, the lighthouse as the old Britain fades and the new reality begins. Do your duty. Share the warning. Type awake below. We will meet you on the other side of the dawn. Do not sleep.